Solving quadratic equations. So as I mentioned in the previous video that there are 4 methods to solve a quadratic equation. The first one we have already seen is the graphical method. Don't worry if you don't know how to plot the graph of a quadratic equation. You will learn that in the upcoming videos. Apart from the graphical method, there are 3 other methods. The first one is factoring. The second one is using the quadratic formula. And the third one, which is my least favorite, and it's also the least favorite of almost every student, it's called completing the square. Completing the square. So in this video we will see the first method, which is factoring. So let's take an example. Let's say we have a quadratic equation 2x squared plus 6x minus 20 equals to 0. So if you remember how we used to factorize quadratic expressions, we will do the exact same thing to the left hand side of this equation. So we need to find out 2 linear factors of this expression on the left hand side. So what we do is, first of all, you need to write down the coefficients. So over here a is 2, which is the coefficient of x squared, b is 6, coefficient of x term, and c is negative 20. Second step is, so that's the first step. Second step is you're going to multiply a and c. A and c, that is 2 times negative 20, so we get negative 40. Third step is you are going to find out the factor pairs. Find out the factor pairs of AC, the product that you've just got. So we will find out the factor pairs of negative 40 such that they add up. They add up to give B. B is 6. So we need to find out 2 factor pairs, one factor pair of negative 40 such that if you add those 2 factors, then you get B, which is 6 in this case. So let's do that. So for negative 40, I can think of one factor pair as 1 and negative 40, 2 and negative 20, it's not divisible by 3, 4 and negative 10, 5 and negative 8, not 6, not 7, 8 and 5 are already done, 20 is done. Now let's have a look. We need those 2 factors which will give me 6 upon adding. Well, if you see 4 and negative 10, there will be also another factor pair of negative 4 and positive 10. And if you add negative 4 and 10, that is nothing but 6, which is the value of B. So this is our required factor pair, negative 4 and 10. Next step, what you will do is you will split the middle term of the equation. The middle term, this is the middle term. Positive 6x, this is the middle term. middle term. We are going to split it. And that is why this method, sometimes it's also called splitting the middle term method. So what we will do is this equation, I am going to write it as 2x square plus 6x minus 20 equals to 0. Now this term, I'm going to split it like this. Negative 4x plus 10x. See, these are the two factors that I'm using to split it, right? And rest of the equation will be same. Right? I can do that. Negative 4x plus 10x is nothing but 6x. Now we will find out the greatest common factor of the first two terms, and then we will find out the greatest common factor of the next two terms, and we will factor that out. So the greatest common factor of 2x square and negative 4x is 2x. So we will factor out 2x. So we will be left with x minus 2, right? 2x times x is 2x squared, 2x times negative 2 is negative 4x, and then the greatest common factor of 10x and negative 20 is 10. So write 10. So factor it out, you get x minus 2. And then you can again find out the greatest common factor of these two terms. The greatest common factor is x minus 2. So again we will factor out x minus 2, and what is remaining is, if you factor out x minus 2, what is remaining is 2x plus 10. So these are the two linear factors of this quadratic equation. Now what you have to do is, we will use something called zero product property. Zero product property. This property says that if product of two numbers is equal to 0, then either first number is equal to 0 or the second number is equal to 0. So here we have the exact same situation. We have x minus 2 times 2x plus 10 equals to 0. So either x minus 2 has to be equal to 0, or the second factor 2x plus 10 has to be equal to 0. So if x minus 2 is equal to 0, that means x is equal to 2, and if 2x plus 10 is equal to 0, that means x is equal to negative 5. And these are the two solutions to our given quadratic equation. So 2 and negative 5. You can verify your answer by substituting 2 and negative 5 in the original equation. Let's do one more example. Let's say you have 2x squared plus 17x plus 21 is equal to 0. First step, factor pairs. No, actually the first step is writing the coefficients. A is 2, B is 17, C is 21. Second step, write down the factor pairs of A and C. I mean A times C. So A times C, 2 times 21, that's 42. Third step, Let's write down the factor pairs of 42. So 1 times 42 is 42, 2 times 21 is 42. Remember, we have to find out that factor pair which upon adding will give me 17. Right now none of these factor pairs will give me 17. Okay. 3 times 14 is also 42, and 6 times 7 is also 42. And now if you have guessed it by now, this factor pair, if you add 3 and 14, you get 17. So this is the required factor pair, and now I'm gonna split this equation. I'm gonna split the middle term of this equation. 2x squared plus 17x plus 21 equals to 0. Let's split the middle term. So 17x can be written as 3x plus 14x. Rest of the equation will be as it is. Now let's find out the greatest common factor. 2x squared and 3x, the greatest common factor is just x. Factor it out, you get 2x plus 3. Then greatest common factor of 14x and 21 is 7. Factor it out, you get 2x plus 3. And now 2x plus 3 can be again factored out. You'll be left with x plus 7. Using the zero product property, either 2x plus 3 is equal to 0, which will give us x equals to negative 3 over 2, or x plus 7 will be equal to 0, which gives us x equals negative 7. So these two, x equals negative 3 over 2 or x equals negative 7, both are the solutions to this equation.